What's up, guys? Sorry for the audio if it sounds pretty shitty. I don't have a recording mic right now, so I'm pretty much just recording off my phone. And I'll be adding the audio to the video itself, so if the quality's bad, sorry. I'll be getting a mic soon. But I've been getting a lot of questions about my PvP build and how I use my PvP skills. So basically, since the update and they changed all the skills here, it's pretty straightforward now. Each skill has 1 to 3 different type of effects here, and it's pretty much basically PvE and PvP. It used to be really complicated back then, and I actually kind of liked it that way because a lot of the skills had more status effects and stuff, but they've dumbed it down for new players because a lot of players really didn't know how to use their class. But I use the Frost build basically, and for PvP, you're always gonna want to use the status effect more than damage. So basically, what I have here is Blazing Palm, just the damage one. I don't really worry about that. This impact skill here, the first one, is really important when you use the ice build. Once you put so much frost on an enemy, they'll get frozen. They'll have ice at the bottom of their feet. They can't move. When you use your impact skill on them when they're covered in ice, it'll stun them. So if you can just keep packing ice on them and stunning them, you can set up a pretty nasty combo where you can just keep hitting them with frost damage, stunning them, frost damage, stunning them using impact. For this also, you want Phantom Grip. Now, I use Phantom Grip for pretty much against all classes, except for the Spin the Winners, that's the Destroyers and Blade Dancers. This is it's really good for Blade Masters, and especially Blade Masters. I fucking hate them. But it's good because it grabs them, and it also cancels their defensive skills for a while. So like, let's say Blade Masters and Warlocks, how they can spam block over and over again. If you grab them with this, it cancels that ability for 6 seconds. So you have a 6-second open window of just trying to DPS the shit out of them so they can't block, which is really helpful. I find it annoying that they can spam block as much as they can. But that's pretty much for all of them. Like Kung Fu Masters, it helps with their defense against that, like they can't counter. But Shadow Grasp is what I like to use against Destroyers and Blade Dancers because they can pretty much spin out of their CCs. I generally like to use this because it keeps pulling them into that one spot, so they can't really spin out of your Shadow Grasp. It'll pull them in 5 times. So as long as you keep your distance to where they can't use an approach skill on you, they're stuck in that one spot. So it's usually good to use this on them and then use like an AoE to input continuous damage. But I'll also be making an actual video guide of me fighting each class and the strategy I use against them, but that'll be in a later video. Inferno, you'll always want the instant cast. Yeah, this does a ton of damage. The 2-second cast time, but I mean, to sit there for 2 seconds to try and cast a spell, you'll get murdered. 2 seconds is a lot of time to stay still, and it just takes a simple CC to cancel your attack. So always go with instant cast. And it's good to use Inferno with a status effect. So let's say you use a stun skill. If they're stunned, use Inferno, you'll do additional damage. So whatever type of CC you have on your enemy, daze, stun, sleep, frozen, it'll do an additional damage, which is really good. And it's quick damage too. So with PvP, you'll always want the instant cast Inferno. Heat Wave, I generally don't deal with airborne. I find that it's no more effective than knockdown, and I find knockdown a lot more simpler. So I stick with the knockdown. That's really good for combo. So like if you can hit someone with this, as soon as they're knocked down, just start dealing some damage. It's good to start the match and whatnot. I'll have some, like I said, videos on strategies on how I use these skills. Frost Sheath is pretty much a 100% must. You know, it gives you that. It'll recover all your chi. You're vulnerable for a few seconds. So always have that on there for PvP. Frost Palm. This is one of your essential skills for PvP. As you can see, chills over 10 seconds. Increases defense upon frost mode skill. And what it does is every time you hit an enemy with this, you'll stack frost on them. And once you hit them 3 times with this, they'll get frozen. They'll be stuck. So once they're stuck to the floor, that's when you want to use your impact skill. That'll push them back plus daze them. So it gives you another open window to continue, you know, your combo. So if you can keep stacking frost on them and doing this, you know, it pretty much helps you control a fight. Glacial Beam, a lot of this one is for PvE. It's there for damage, but this is like before they did the update. I used to do the Ice Rain build, so I formed my strategy on, you know, the Ice Rain build. So with this new one, they changed Ice Rain to Glacial Beam. It's almost pretty much the same thing. It just attacks. The animation for the attack is faster, but it costs more focus to use, and you can't use it consecutively as fast as you could with Ice Rain. But when it's mixed with Cold Snap, that's your bread and butter for damage. Cold Snap will increase the speed in consecutive use you can do with Glacial Beam, so you can do massive damage with this. Cold Snap will increase the speed of Ice Rain by a lot, like crazy amounts. But it's only effective if the enemy is within your Cold Snap range. So what happens is you'll lay down Cold Snap and it'll be an AoE and it'll last for 10 seconds. As long as the enemy is inside that circle, this will lay down a circle, you can just lay this down like a motherfucker. You'll damage the hell out of them unless they have an iframe or something. So basically my strategy is to try and get my opponent to use up his iframes first. Then I'll try and stun them or knock them down, lay down Cold Snap and just lay it on them. I'll use Frost Palm to try and glue them to the floor if they've used up their iframes. I'll lay down Cold Snap and then just let Glacial Beam do its work. It does a lot of damage. So yeah, you want to keep these on here. It'll take some practice to try and control your target's movement. But once you get the hang of, you know, snaring your opponent and using this on your opponent, you'll do massive damage. Now for Frost Tornado, you'll definitely want Frost Tornado instead of Snowball. Frost Tornado was made for PvP, and what this will do is it's another form of canceling a block. So if, let's say, Block Master or Warlock is spamming their block skill, and the same with Kung Fu Master. If they're spamming their block skill or their counter skill, use this. If it hits them while they're using their block or Kung Fu Master's counter, they can't use it for 5 seconds. It's done. Or 6 seconds, sorry. So you have 6 second window of you know, DPSing them without them being able to block it, which is usually what, you know, their bread and butter is for Blade Master, and Warlock and Kung Fu Master. Also, this is effective on destroyers when they pull out their shield. Use that on their shield. That'll also that'll get rid of it right there. It'll cancel it. The same with Phantom Grip. Phantom Grip will also get rid of the destroyer shield. Backstep. You want to go to the 3rd tier, stage 3. Sorry. This is pretty much another tab. This gets you out of everything. This gets you out of stuns, daze, snares, everything. So you'll always want that, definitely. You don't want these two. So keep that there. Now for PvP Frost Armor, stage 2 could be really helpful. It's a backstep. Its cooldown's 1 minute. But I generally like to use the stage 3. It's a 3-minute cooldown, but it recovers, like you can see here, like the first status effect here is recover 30 to 5%, 30 to 5% HP. So you're pretty much rolling the dice on how much HP you'll recover. But when you come here, you recover 30% HP. That's a lot. That's a lot of HP to recover right off the bat. On top of that, each time they hit you, you're going to recover 5% damage as well. So I mean, it's really good for health recovery. You know, that's your bread and butter there for staying alive when you're fighting. I try to say that till I'm about 25% down to my HP, then I'll use that. It's really helpful. It saves me a lot, so you definitely want to go with this tier. Other than that, like the rest of your skills here, they're all just your basic skills. So these are the status effects. This is the build that you want for. Here, let me actually make sure this is set right. So. Yeah, so this is pretty much the build you want. Well, this is the build I use anyways, because I'm so used to the Ice Rain build that this whole build here is focused on, you know, these two skills. All these skills here are used to help me with this. So basically, you know, I'm trying to control my opponent's movements to the point where they can't move, so I can use Cold Snap and then just pound them with Glacial Beam.
Mining is complete. We haven't left a single soul stone for the Crimson losers.
Frost Palm, get them glued to the ground, lay this down,
We've got all we could
lay
get
Cold
here.
Snap down, pound them with
All
Glacial Beam.
withdraw.
If you hit them with Cold
The
Snap
Crimson Legion
and they
can
move,
cry about it later.
try and get into the center of this.
You
Cold Snap.
two-faced
Use
hypocrites.
Phantom Grip to pull them in there, then maybe hit them with a stun. Like I said, it's going to take some practice to try and figure out what works for you. This is pretty much what works for me. A lot of other players like to use Dragon Whirl instead
You
of
want
this,
to die?
but if you're going to use Dragon
I
Whirl,
will destroy you and erect a statue
you might
of
as well
myself
not
on
use
your
Cold
corpse.
Snap and go with something else. I don't really use these two, so I don't have
What
really
a
much
knuckle
advice
dragger.
or strategy on
Get on
these two
defense.
skills or this one because I don't really like to use it. But it is effective. These skills are effective if you know how to use them. Like I said, everyone has their own type of strategy. So this is pretty much my PvP build. Like I said, I'm waiting to get an actual mic, recording mic, and I'll start doing some PvP guides, you know, showing me fight all the classes and the type of strategies I use and what to look out for.
This will be
and
my
what
last
to
attack.
avoid from enemies.
Die.
So
Bring
I'll have
me
that
Ugo's
soon,
head.
hopefully, sometime this week when I can actually get some time to buy
Just
a mic.
look at them, crazy
Any questions?
pigs.
Just leave them in the
Can't
comments
just
below.
sit and watch that.
All right, thanks for watching.
Get rid of Huangpo.